Hello and welcome to this podcast, Varsha. Um, Before I get into the topic, would you want to just give us a bit of introduction about yourself?
I'm Varsha, and firstly, thank you for having me here. Uh, I'm Varsha Agnihotri Vadyar, entrepreneur, mother, wife, wanderer at heart, free spirit. I talk a lot,
Yeah,
and I have a lot of friends. I'm a lucky girl.
yeah. Oh, that's
Is
a
that
wonderful
enough?
introduction.
Would you
Okay.
want a professional introduction?
No, I'm good with this. The idea is to get a hang of who are
Okay.
we talking to for the audience. You have kind of covered a lot of ground. I think we could do an entire podcast
Yeah,
on each aspect.
well, the reason I didn't give a professional introduction is because normally when people say, why don't you introduce yourself? We all say, hi, I'm Varsha, I'm a writer or a singer or a poet or a, vice president marketing. Well, we aren't what we do. We are who we are.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm the woman who talks a lot, shouts at her children very often, cuddles them a lot, loves to bake, all kinds of things, love reading, all kinds of things.
This is the first
And
time
there's more to
somebody
all of us.
Sorry, this is the first time somebody has actually explained the introductory part in this manner. Half the time, I don't even give too much emphasis to this aspect because internally, I think it really does not matter where we come from. Rather, this is the delineation of what is being spoken is so beautiful that it goes beyond our own experiences as well sometimes.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
So,
And I'm really looking forward to this chat with you because I've always enjoyed our chats.
oh, lovely. So, what I'm going to talk about is something that we were chatting about a couple of minutes back is the fear of being judged. Uh, so, I would want to start on a personal note on this one. Uh, I spent a lot of time, the first couple of months of this year, 2020 particularly, figuring out how I wanted to get what is now called the Values Workshop and the stories that I share on Facebook and the podcast, of course. I had no clue how to go about it. It was absolutely new territory for me. I found, because I'm a writer by profession and also very curious to find out what others have done, and you want to have it easy. So I did a lot of research, and my research led me to it was like a two-pronged path. One was uh, either those guys who had reached somewhere, whether they be gurus of some kind or successful people in business or even podcasters for that matter, people who knew the answers. And the other was the academicians. There were books on uh, there was a book on lying by somebody in Harvard. And when I started reading it after 3 4 pages, I was like, I don't know how to make it palatable for people out there. How do you, like, it is so heavy and it is so boring. How do you make it enjoyable? And I had to relook. And there was this fear of, I had never done this before. And it had got nothing to do. I had an advantage that I was a writer and a presenter otherwise. But besides that, I had no clue about the subject and there was nobody I could ask. So I kind of, a friend of mine helped. He said, I was talking about how I bring up my daughter in terms of these little things. So whenever I claim something that you got to do this, she's now turning 13. So she asked me, are you doing this? So he says, this is exactly what you have to do. There's nothing beyond this. You have to
Yeah,
keep on talking about
I agree.
the struggle of holding up to your core values. And that's what kind
Absolutely.
of gave it a direction. So my first experiments were with the the kind of target audience that I was looking at was like 15 to 23, 15 to 25 people who were just getting out of their colleges, starting their jobs, because my realization was that most of us are so uh, inclined to talk only about success and the idea of how to reach there,
Correct.
that we forget what is it that we feel unhappy about, and the struggle,
Correct.
compromise. So that's something that kind of resonated with me. But my first experiments failed miserably. I was told indirectly that your content is good, but your presentation is horrible. And I was like, okay, so what do you want? So those kids told me, they gave me some podcaster names which were like, which had 2.5 lakh followers, and I was like, okay. And they had, like one of them had Priyanka Chopra as a guest, and I was like, okay, but this is not what I want to do. So
Yeah.
how do I match the two? Now at that point, the only thing that I knew was on 1st of April I would begin the initiative. I had no clue what I would begin, but something about this would be a concrete step in this direction. And everything that could go wrong went wrong. Somebody who had promised to join me as a fellow podcaster dropped out. Then I didn't know what was podcasting about, so I was kind of relying on her to tell me how it should be done. But I started. So I went back to writing stories, which I was good at. And I just kept it very simple, everyday stories, something that you share or somebody else shares with me. Now, at that point, I was unsure about whether people would respond. But the only thing that I knew was that I wanted to do it. That's the only thing that I was absolutely sure of, except for one or two friends who knew what I was doing. Even my family did not kind of get it what I was trying to do with this. Neither did I. There was nothing to explain per se. So there was so much of
Yeah.
um, like my heart was like as if I am starting a new career, and this was a social objective. The idea about money is good now after 25 years of working is that I know how to negotiate, I know how to charm people, bulldoze them, bullshit them sometimes,
Of
but I know
course.
something about money. But when there's no money involved, I had no clue how am I going to speak to anybody and get them to start liking this or participating or do something like that. So my own understanding was one of the things that worked for me at that point was my clarity about what I want, why I wanted to do it. What I wanted wasn't clear. The why was clear, that I wanted to have something that I have within me to be given to the world, even if the form itself was not clear. So, as a starting point of the discussion, do you think somewhere a bit of soul searching and a bit of fear is a good factor to start with anything when we are on a new path?
You know, when you're starting something new, uh, a little bit of fear is inevitable. It's absolutely inevitable. It's the first time you get into a swimming pool, the first time you cross the road, the first time you go to school, the first time you go to office, the first steps you take. You've had fear all your life. So, something that's such an integral part of life that has been from the moment you've come in, why fear the fear? Accept it as part of it. You don't even need to overcome it. It gives you the advantage of flight or fight. So just accept it, listen to your heart, and go for it. Because unless you do it, you're not going to know, and the fear is always going to be there. There is always going to be a chance of failure. Life is all about the 50-50. The first time you take a step, you either fall or you walk. The first time you get onto a cycle, you fall or you cycle. You, take a train, you get hurt or you don't. You get married, it lasts or it doesn't. Life is all about 50-50, and that 50% is the fear. Don't let it be 100%. You have to do what you have to do. And it's a call that we all must take, and that is where we need to search our souls. That am I going to make this fear 100% of myself and my life? Or am I going to say it's as much a part of me as my laughter or my hopes or my dreams are.
Ah,
So why would you fight it at all? Why would you be afraid of it? So
okay.
yes, a little bit of fear is very good.
Um, would you want to share any personal example that either old or new that you have faced it in the manner that you spoke of?
The first time I went on stage, I've been on stage since I was a kid. My mom used to put me in every competition, every fancy dress, everything. And I pretty much won everything and came back. I was a kid.
Oh,
I was afraid every time I went up on stage. But once I was there, I did what I had to do because it's inevitable. I can be as scared as I want, but does that mean I'm never going to do it? No, that doesn't mean that. So I would go ahead and do it. Uh, so the first time in school when I had to actually get up on stage and debate, and the first time my mom said, I'm not writing anything for you. You need to figure it out. I can't tell you how afraid I was because I had absolutely no guidance, absolutely none. I was being told to use my own brains. And I did. I wrote what I could think of, what my little mind could think of. And I went up on stage and I did it and I lost. I lost the debate. I didn't win any prizes.
okay.
And I came off stage and it didn't matter that I hadn't won. I'd had a lot of fun. The people up there were, some were friends, some were not. The whole experience had been great joy. I had learned from it and I had moved on. That doesn't mean I've ever conquered my fear because I'm still on stage a lot. I'm still in the spotlight a lot. I talk a lot to a lot of people. I do a lot of fun stuff like this
Yeah,
podcast where I did not know what we were talking about.
yeah,
But and it's still part of my life. When you said let's talk today and I don't know what we're going to talk about, there was worry that what if I fall flat on my face? So I'll fall flat and people will say, oh, she talked so much nonsense. But there will be enough people who will say she was candid, and that's all right. On the other hand, there are times when I have given in to fear, and I was once driving just a few years ago. It's a very funny story. My family loves to tell the story.
mm,
We were driving back from an edit. I hadn't slept all night, nor had my brother. And on the Versova main road, my car stalled. There was a traffic jam. My car stalled. So I decided to use the time to adjust my seat. And the driver's seat, instead of getting adjusted and going forward, just went flat. And suddenly I was lying flat on my back in the driver's seat with my feet not reaching the pedals and my hands not reaching the steering wheel. I'm a small woman. And the traffic started moving and everyone started honking and screaming. And instead of getting myself together, I started screaming on top of my voice, ah, one of those things. My brother, who instead of helping me just started laughing, he's like, I can't believe what happened to you. And I'm normally a very calm and collected person. He uprighted the seat. I drove back home. I've never driven again. It's been about 10 years. That was an instance of where I gave into the fear that what if it happens again and I won't be able to do it. Again, it doesn't matter. So I don't drive. I don't own a car. It doesn't matter. There are thousands of ways of getting around. People who don't own cars also get around. There's nothing cool about having fears or conquering them or not having fears. It's just who you are. And I think that's where it starts, an acceptance of yourself. So yes, I have faced fears. There are times when I've, accepted the fears, made them part of my life. My legs still shake before I go on stage. And there are times when I said, okay, this fear is bigger than me and that's how it is and it's all right. I'll take a rickshaw.
okay. You actually dissected it quite well. There are a couple of thoughts running in my head. So one of the thoughts that crossed my mind was that you are actually, when you started the topic, you said that you don't need to conquer it, and sometimes it seems